It's your boy JT Knows Things, and we are back to the wonderful Crypto Den. And today, I thought I would remind you all of the Bitcoin halving and talk about all of the nitty gritty details as to why you should, at the minimum, pay attention right now. For those who do not know, my name is Jake Tullis. I go by JT. This is my channel where I document all of the research I do for my fund, Bleeding Edge Capital. We are a Cincinnati based crypto hedge fund that exclusively invests in digital assets or blockchain technology. This channel is where I go into all of the stuff that's going on in the market at large at times, but more so about the details of these assets that I genuinely believe in. So much so that I'm raising millions of dollars to manage more of. So, um, yeah, that's me. If you want to learn more about me, just go to the banner and click my link. You'll see my career, my LinkedIn. I'm a legitimate human, and I'm here to talk to you about some of the principles that are guiding the decision-making process that I'm undergoing. So, with that, everyone, I want you to, and again, I'm going to keep these brief here. I got about 8 minutes because this is what people have been asking for. I want to explain the Bitcoin halving to you. First, before we understand it, we have to understand a very basic principle, no different than the law of gravity, if you will, right? Or the thesis of gravity, even though that is like yet to been, disproven. We have law of supply and demand. Price is the equilibrium point of demand and supply, or supply and demand. So you have to understand the relationship they have with one another. Price will increase if demand is increasing and supply is decreasing, vice versa the other way. So it's really, and this is a law of economics that has existed to the ends of time. And it just conceptually makes sense as a human, right? Like, if this is the only pen that existed in the world, and we all needed to write things down, meaning demand is sky high, supply is like incredibly low. This pen would be worth a lot of money. It'd probably be in a billionaire's vault, right? Alternatively, if there were a billion pens and no one needed to read, they would be in the dumpster, right? That's the kind of idea. So I want you to grasp that. Now, let's think about Bitcoin. It is a project that is not owned by anyone or controlled by anyone. It was released to the public in '09, and when it was released, there were 21 million total tokens in existence, and that's all there will ever be. Okay, so we have supply capped. In the example I just gave you, supply capped is better than inflation, which means the supply will slowly increase like the US dollar, or deflation could be even better, where you're going to lose some of that as transactions happen or something else. But we're just talking about a fixed supply. And then out of that 21 million, a percentage of it was set aside for a mining rewards pool. I'll explain that in a second. Some of it was set aside for circulating supply, people to exchange their dollars for Bitcoin so they can then send it and transact peer to peer. And then you have some reserved for the founder of Bitcoin, who is still anonymous, Satoshi Nakamoto. And those Bitcoins have not moved since inception, which is interesting. It's just sitting in a wallet. So that even reduces the amount of supply that is even accessible to us by almost 10%, if you also include the wallets that people have lost or died holding. So really, we have like 19 million Bitcoin. And so now we know that. And then let's get into the mining real quick here. Bitcoin doesn't work if volunteers for profit don't go out, invest US dollars or whatever their currency is into hardware that they then plug into the wall, that they then use the state nation's currency to pay the electric bill, right? All of that happens with real money. That money ends up in the Bitcoin network, right? Because they're buying the stuff and then they're getting paid in Bitcoin. That's the mining rewards, okay? This pool, if you go through all of that, you pay the 5 grand to get a mining rig set up. You're going to get paid every time your miner is randomly selected to solve a problem, a cryptographic problem, or just mine is what it's called. That rewards pool has a limited amount of Bitcoin, guys. Okay, limited amount. There's only a certain amount that has ever been put into there. Every 4 years, your reward for your rig in the wall gets cut in half. It gets cut in half. You got to think about how miners make money to understand how this really affects the market. Miners make money because they mine Bitcoin and then they sell it, and they have a cost. They got to pay for that equipment either way. Inflation causes their energy cost to rise. Okay, so it's getting more expensive to make a Bitcoin, and they're getting paid less Bitcoin. So they're going to stockpile and trickle out. And the amount of circulating supply being released into the market. This is the main driving point. I want you to understand the amount of circulating Bitcoin being released daily, monthly, weekly, whatever by these miners and anyone that mines, because they're the only ones that are actually getting the rest of the Bitcoin out of this pool into circulating supply, right? Those two buckets we talked about. It's happening at a much slower rate. So if you go from making 1 Bitcoin a day to half a Bitcoin a day, but your costs are rising, it's a precarious situation. And what it does, assuming demand stays the same, guys, if demand is doing this and supply was also doing this, right? But then supply does this. Where's that price equilibrium point go? You get it. It keeps going up and to the right. So if demand stays the same, and over the next 6 to 12 months after the rewards are cut in half, miners have released half the amount as they once were, the price is going to double programmatically. That's just how supply and demand works. It's not a day and night thing, but it's a gradual procedure due to the amount of Bitcoins miners are actually selling month over month. So it's just accessibility gets cut in half over a longer time horizon, but on a very specific block produced number, like a very specific time and day, your rewards get cut in half. It's really important to understand that because unless demand dramatically goes down, Bitcoin is programmed to double in price every 4 years, guys. If demand, for demand to decrease that much, we'd have to see prosperous growth in state nation currencies. Like if the US dollar is, we're out of debt, and like literally a meteor, the equivalent of a meteor hitting the earth would have to happen in terms of good news elsewhere. So with demand the same, supply getting cut in half, with another 6 to 8 months for that happening to be realized, a lot of exciting stuff happens. And then, moreover, when Bitcoin starts doing really well, what happens? The dominance goes down. Why? Because people are selling their Bitcoin for more speculative alternative assets. So money will flow out of Bitcoin into the alts, and then when shit gets hard, from the alts back into Bitcoin. Risk on and risk off, like traditional finance. It has been risk on since March, like I've been telling you. So, hopefully this was helpful, though. Okay, we won't get into all that, but I hope the halving makes a little bit more sense to you, and that you are able to make better decisions for your families and your loved ones right before the holidays, given your better understanding of Bitcoin. Hopefully, either way, this is never financial advice. Make your own decisions. You're grown people. I love you all. Take care of one another, and have a beautiful, wonderful, absolutely incredible time with your family. Nothing is more important than that in this world, and I genuinely hope that you guys can spend the time and appreciate those who you still have. Thank you so much. Until next time.